In today's video we will discuss the 10 most overrated Premier League players of all time. Please make sure you subscribe to the Top 10 Jaw-Dropping Facts channel. We are going to discuss the most overrated Premier League players. Can you guess which one is number 1? Let's start number 10. Hidetoshi Nakata. One of the greatest Japanese players of all time, Hidetoshi Nakata played at 3 World Cups and exploded onto the world stage at his home World Cup in Japan. Nakata had a solid career in Italy, playing for Perugia, Roma, Parma, Bologna, and Fiorentina. In his only Premier League season, Nakata played 21 league games for Bolton Wanderers, scoring just the single goal. Known for his technical ability, vision, and creativity, it was far from what he delivered. He retired at the end of his only season in England and is one of the most overrated Premier League players of all time. The Japanese David Beckham has arguably had a better career off the field than on it, and he's considered a fashion trailblazer and icon, well after his playing days have finished. Number 9. Juan Sebastian Veron. Signed by Manchester United from Lazio in 2001, Juan Sebastian Veron's £28.1 million transfer fee was a Premier League record at the time. He would flop spectacularly and was sold to Chelsea for £15 million after only 2 seasons. Veron made only 7 appearances at Chelsea before going out on loan to Inter Milan, followed by a move to Estudiantes in Argentina before calling curtains on his career. There's no doubt Veron in his prime was strong, pacey, and a technically gifted midfielder. It was always going to be difficult to find his rhythm competing for a spot with David Beckham, Ryan Giggs, Roy Keane, and Paul Scholes. He ultimately struggled to keep up with the pace of the Premier League, where he wasn't afforded the same time and space on the ball he was used to during his career. Number 8. Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire was so overhyped from his time at Leicester City that he earned an $80 million move to Manchester United in 2021 and is the most expensive Premier League defender of all time. For a defender, Maguire is good at moving the ball and has good dribbling ability. He lacks the composure and consistency that's so important for a defender. He makes crucial mistakes at the back with his error proneness, he drifts too far forward into midfield at times exposing the back, and he's slow and heavy. Maguire does possess good leadership qualities and is good in the air. For the price tag, however, so much more is expected of him, and he's one of the most overrated Premier League players in history. Number 7. Joe Cole. Known for his flair, dribbling, and his bag of tricks, Joe Cole was insanely good from an early age and seemingly destined for greatness. At the age of 15 he was already earning recognition from the national press and attracting interest from Manchester United and Arsenal. By age 17 he received an invite to train with the national team. He did manage to win 3 Premier League titles and FA Cups, as well as play in 3 World Cups, and he was also being called out as the new Gaza. The issue was he couldn't live up to that hype and ended up being one of the most overrated Premier League players. Cole's career was impacted by injuries, and he lost his creative spark in the Chelsea system, with Jose Mourinho playing him out much wider than his natural and preferred attacking midfield position. Number 6. JJ Okocha. Considered the greatest Nigerian footballer and one of the best African players of all time, the Nigerian Ronaldinho JJ Okocha was quick, technically creative, confident, and had exceptional dribbling skills. After the 2002 World Cup, Bolton Wanderers had surprisingly snapped up a 28-year-old Okocha. Despite his flair and flashes of brilliance, he was far too inconsistent and one of the most overrated Premier League players ever. Okocha managed to score 14 goals and 11 assists from his 124 league appearances, but more was expected from a footballer who at the time became the most expensive African player in 1998 when PSG signed him from Fenerbahce for $14 million. Number 5. Hadji Diouf. Hadji Diouf is not only one of the most hated footballers in history. He's also one of the most overrated Premier League players ever, especially because he rates himself as the greatest African player ever. There were massive expectations placed on Diouf when he arrived at Liverpool after the 2002 World Cup, where he helped Senegal reach the quarter-final stages. Despite Diouf playing 243 games in the Premier League across 4 clubs, his performances weren't to the levels that were expected. That may have been overlooked if it wasn't for his attitude. Ex-teammates called him out for being lazy, arrogant, and toxic. Although he had some talent, he was a dressing room distraction and the sort of player that was hated by both home and away fans. Number 4. Owen Hargreaves. Owen Hargreaves grew up in Canada before playing for German giants Bayern Munich for 7 years. He became the only player to play for England without having lived in Britain, and only the second player to represent the Three Lions without playing in the English football system. Manchester United signed Hargreaves for £17 million in 2007 to fill the void left by Roy Keane. Hargreaves' speed and excellent set-piece delivery was very rarely seen during his 5 years at United. Hargreaves would make only 28 Premier League appearances in a career completely derailed by injuries. Sir Alex Ferguson even admitted in his autobiography that Hargreaves was one of the most disappointing of the 105 signings he made in his career. Number 3. John Obi Mikel. It was never going to be easy for John Obi Mikel to emulate his teammates Michael Essien and Claude Makelele during his 11 years at Chelsea. He was quick and able to use both feet, but at times was unreliable. Mikel lost a lot of the creative spark he had from his younger days, where he drew comparisons to players like Zinedine Zidane, Paul Scholes, and Steven Gerrard. Mourinho may have done him wrong by playing him too far back in midfield. Although he was a solid squad player, he's one of the most overrated Premier League players, netting just 1 goal and 10 assists in 249 Premier League games. Number 2. Paul Pogba. The twice former Manchester United midfielder wasn't a bad player by any means. It's the fact that Pogba is one of the most expensive Premier League players of all time that makes him so overrated. So much was expected for the former United Youth Academy product after he signed for Juventus in 2012 for $800,000 in compensation. After 4 titles in 4 seasons, he returned back to Old Trafford for $93.25 million. Number 1. Jack Wilshere. The technically gifted and agile Jack Wilshere came through the Arsenal Youth Academy and became the youngest ever Arsenal player to debut in the Premier League at 16 years and 256 days. Wilshere's been able to play multiple positions in midfield and is known for his vision, leadership, and his movement. Unfortunately, injuries impacted his career, and he slowed down very early compared to his younger days, retiring at 30. There was a time when Wilshere was considered one of the hottest prospects in the Premier League. Instead, he's the most overrated Premier League player of all time, and Roy Keane thinks so too. I hope you enjoyed our 10 most overrated Premier League players of all time. Please comment below what Premier player do you think is the most overrated. Do not forget to subscribe to the Top 10 Jaw-Dropping Facts channel. And new episodes release every Monday through Friday.